You're feeling good. Welcome everyone to Avini Vibes. We're happy that you're here. And today is December 14th, 2023. And it's hard to believe that 2023 is coming to an end. Wow, it went fast. I don't know about you, but it just felt like it was January and now it's December again. But you are a busy time of year for all of us. It's the holidays, of course, and a busy, bustling time, but you're special because you took the time to be with us tonight. And I want you to know that we're very, very grateful for that to join us because, as Chip says, it's always a special call with special people. So we thank you for that. Thank you for muting. We'll try to respect your time, of course, and we'll have you out of here hopefully in about 45 minutes. If you'd like to ask a question, just raise your hand. And Carol is my co-host. My name's Christine Rolando. And yes, I am from New York, originally New Jersey. So we're always battling between New York, Northeast now and Florida. So I can see this is growing with a lot of new faces. So again, thank you for being here. I want to ask you if you are as Alan Way would say, a wholesale customer as a distributor. If you are, just give me a thumbs up if you would. If you're a guest, we welcome you here and we ask you to get with the person at the end of this if you have questions that perhaps if we don't answer them, but we have Chip Littlejohn in the house with us and always a master at answering all of the questions that you have to put forth. Okay, so again, mute yourself if you would, and we're going to get started tonight. And for those of you that were here last week, we had a pretty cool meeting. I just want to do a quick recap. It was pretty nice because we did something with Dr. Joe Dispenza. And I just want to know if you unlocked the power of your mind and you became limitless in the last week, because that's what we focused on, becoming limitless. So I know a lot of you were here. I see familiar faces. We talked about think about what you were thinking about. So we're really being proactive and taking the initiative and think about what we are thinking about and being proactive. And I know I saw that with many of the folks that I had conversation with this week about their Avini business. And Chip, I want to share, thank you, not share, but thank you so much for the call that you did this week. I missed the first part, but I've already encouraged people to listen to the call that you did because it was really a very, very special call this week. So if you didn't listen to that, was that on, what do you do, Wednesdays or Thursdays? My days are a little mixed up this week because PT for
I'm the
hubby.
Wednesday guy. I'm the Wednesday guy.
You're the Wednesday guy, and that was a fabulous, fabulous call. I want to really thank you for doing that on Wednesday. And if you haven't tuned into Chip's call on Wednesdays, please do. And Wednesday evening, Marcy did a great call. She did a fabulous call also, and she's got a contest running. So make sure you pay attention to the things that are available to us that you can really tap into the tools that we have.
And
I'm excited.
Priscilla was this morning and tonight. So Priscilla is Thursdays a lot of times.
Yes, and Priscilla again on Thursday, but now we have Priscilla with us tonight, and that's what I want to get to right now because Priscilla is a cellular health coach, but she's a Sapphire director with Avini Health. And when I ask people to come on this call, I always say, "Can you give me a bio?" One thing about Avini distributors, everyone, I must say, very, very, very humble. They probably have 9 pages of things they've done in their life, but they give me 2 sentences or they say, "Oh, I don't want to tell you anything about that," because their heart is truly in the right place. So thank you, Priscilla, for being with us. Priscilla is not only a healer, a mother, a caregiver, and she's a coach. She's a writer, she's a speaker, she's a presenter, and she's a trainer of the law of physical, mental, and emotional health. She has a Bachelor's of Arts in Psychology, University of California, Santa Barbara. She's a truth seeker, a homeschooler. Oh, I must have missed that, and a work-at-home mom. And she does specialize in this. This is her passion, and she's going to share that with us tonight. And she's also very active with teaching parents how to mitigate the mess that their babies' bodies are in because of toxic overload. So with that, Priscilla, welcome and join us. Share your story because we want to hear all about you.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Carol. What a privilege and a pleasure to be invited to speak with you all tonight. You know, I talk a little bit about personal development, stepping into your power. And I want to talk a little bit about just this past year. You know, you were talking about here we are, it's December 15th, at the end of the year is near. But look at all that's happened in this past year. And for me, 2023 started when Doug Dickey came to visit us in Grand Junction here in Colorado. And so I had the opportunity to meet him in person, to sit with him, to listen to his story again in person. He came a second time, and at that time I was able to bring my partner with me, my co-caregiver, and he got to really listen to Doug's story and all of the knowledge that Doug has to share. And it was then that he really got on board with taking the cell defender and with giving the cell defender to our friend that we were giving care for, who had experienced a couple strokes, was suffering from dementia, lost his memory, was deteriorating. And through listening to the stories that we hear here with Avini Health, I'm thinking of Robin West in particular, how she gives the cell defender to her father-in-law. And I thought that's what we both thought that's what we need to be doing for Kevin. And so we started giving him more, right? More frequently on a daily basis. And we got to see his memory come back. Now, Kevin was a Navy veteran, and he served during the Vietnam War and had lots and lots of stories, right, over the years. And some of the stories he would tell over and over again. So I knew all the stories. And then at some point he started to forget those stories. He forgot who we were. He forgot who he was. He was stepping back into, I would say, his teen years or his 20s, going back to those earlier years of his life and wanting to go back to Brooklyn, where he's from. But then as we were giving him the cell defender, he started to remember that he had lived in Australia. He had started to remember some of the stories that he used to tell when he was in the Navy. And he was getting around better. So that was a real blessing in our lives for Kevin. Now he has since passed. He passed the day before Thanksgiving. But what a gift we had in this last year of his life with having, a little bit more life of who he was, in a mind that was, foggy, but becoming a little bit clear. So that was really a great blessing. And I feel like through meeting Doug Dickey again, it kind of helped me to step up, right? Thursday mornings, I host the call. Well, prior to that, Paige Wolf was hosting the call. Prior to that, Rich Cotter was hosting the call. And it kind of got passed down. And like Chip says, the answer is always yes. So when Paige said, does anyone want to host the call? Yes, I do. Am I nervous as all heck? Yes, I am. And I don't know what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say yes, because this is what I want to be doing. This is who I am. And I do want to present more. I want to grow into my speaking and to be able to share what we found here with Avini Health, right? So I said yes. And I started doing a call in March. And every week got a little bit more comfortable until, now I can kind of just jump off Chip's call from Wednesday, be inspired and see where that takes me. And I'm able to talk about, how that comes up in my life and how I can encourage and teach other people. So I don't know how far back, like I was saying earlier before we start the recording, there's something special about actually sitting down to write your story and to figure out, where does my story start, and how far back do we want to go and what details do we want to share? Well, I don't want to give you, the long drawn out, because we do only have 45 minutes, but I want to just suffice it to say, starting out, that my parents were medical professionals, okay? My parents met in the operating room. My dad was an anesthesiologist, and my mom was a nurse in the operating room. So that's where they met. And I guess I kind of want to fast forward to my teen years, of, the way that we were raised. We didn't take nutritional supplements because my mom said all the nutrition we needed was in our food, right? I remember if I had an issue here or there, I might ask my dad, what does he think? Or, what do I do about this? And he would say, well, I'm not your doctor. I don't know. I'm not your doctor, and so I just find it interesting, right? Being raised in a medical family and really not knowing much about health, not really being taught much about health. I mean, you heard about nutrition, you knew the pyramid, right? The food pyramid of what you're supposed to be eating, and we're supposed to be drinking water. But I pretty much was raised on Diet Coke, right? We bought Diet Coke by the caseloads from Costco. And it wasn't until I was in college where I realized that that was no longer a good idea. And I stopped drinking the soda, right? And then I fast forward to when I got married and I started having children. And after my son was born, I found a spot. I haven't shared this before, but I found a bald spot, right, on my scalp. What the heck is this? I have a quarter-sized, bald spots there on my scalp. And again, what do? I don't know. I was a new young mom. I had practiced attachment parenting. So I was breastfeeding. We were co-sleeping. I was baby wearing, doing all the things. But again, knew nothing about nutrition, right? And so I'm giving the nutrition to my baby, but then my body's suffering. And I think that's how that, showed up in my body. Fast forward to when my second child was born. It was then after her birth that I started to experience pain. So again, like I said, I practice attachment parenting. So the co-sleeping, there were 3 of us, then 4 of us in a family bed in a substandard mattress. I was carrying the little one in a sling on my hip. They didn't have those forward-facing baby carriers yet. And my spine was out of alignment. I was starting to experience pain, serious pain. And well, what do you do about pain? Right. And when you come from a medical family, what do? You take a pill, right? You take a pain pill. And I thought, okay, well, yeah, but then what? So then I have to take a pain pill for the rest of my life. That doesn't really make sense in my mind. And not really the road I want to go down. And then many miracles have happened in my life where people just show up, where at the right time where I need them. So what happened was across the street from my mom's house, a chiropractor moved in and started his practice out of a historic house across the street. And then my aunt came out from Chicago and she marched my mom over there to help her with her pain, got her into chiropractic. And then they marched me in there to get chiropractic care. And that was really great. And it helped me to start to look a little bit closer at my own health, at my body, and how to take care of it. And I learned some things from that chiropractor and from that family because they too were, weren't into the pharmaceuticals. They had delivered their children naturally at home, and this was like mind blowing to me because, you went to the hospital, you went to the doctor. These are the people that you went to when you needed help with your health. And to meet these people who, took responsibility for their own health, learning about the spine, the alignment, the energy, the food, the nutrition, that started me on my path. And then from there, from chiropractic, then I moved it again. Then I dove into that. I was going 3 times a week. It was my new thing. I'm like, okay, well, what else? What else can I do for my body? And again, another miracle happened where a yoga studio opened up just down the street from my house. And so I started doing yoga. And through that, I learned presence. I learned more about meditation, right? And it was there that I met my current partner. He was the new massage therapist at that yoga studio. and went deeper into meditation. At that time, my husband had decided he didn't want to be married to me anymore. So here I am, a stay-at-home mom, with two little ones, and, trying to get a hold on of my health, learn the things I need to do. And I just found myself in a place of desperation and despair and discomfort and all the things. And so for me, I was looking for a network marketing company, and I hadn't been introduced to health and wellness yet. So at that time, my partner had brought me a health and wellness network marketing company. Because I was like, Lord, this is what I want to do. I don't want to go back to school. I don't want to work 50 hours a week. I need to find something where I can earn an income, be here for my kids, be flexible. And so I was looking for the industry. I was looking for something within the industry. I got lucky enough that it was in health, because it was then that I learned, all the things I didn't know, right? So for years, I was introduced for many different health technologies. I had the opportunity to learn how to look at the live blood under a dark field microscope, so nutritional microscopy. That for me was mind-blowing, because to see what my red blood cells are supposed to look like under a microscope, and then see what they actually look like, and having the knowledge that I can actually change the state of my red blood cells by changing what I eat, what I think, and how I think, what I'm thinking as well, what I'm drinking and what I'm eating and what I'm thinking. And so that was the beginning of my journey, just knowing that it's possible, right? How many people realize that it's possible to change your state? We go to the doctor, we get the diagnosis, the doom and gloom sets in, we have to take medications, surgery is the answer. And if you're not looking beyond that, then you don't find what's beyond that, and I think that that's part of our challenge, being distributors, being involved in Avini Health, is reaching people with the possibility, right? The possibility that they can take charge of their own health, that they can reverse a state, that they can put their body into homeostasis, that they can take the heavy metals out, the toxic load that's been building up in our bodies for decades, starting at the moment we were born. I mean, who knew? I didn't know, right? And so, so 3 years ago, I had just finished my cellular health coaching course. And it was then that Hank and Kathleen Means gave me a call, and they said, hey, we've heard about this zeolite. Have you ever heard of zeolite? No, I have not. We've heard about this zeolite, and our mentor says it's great, and of course I trusted whatever he had to say. I was introduced to Doug Dickey's story, and I'm like, well, and I knew she was going to call everybody else on her list, right? So I'm like, well, sign me up. Let's do it today. I want the big package. Well, I didn't get the big package, but I did get the $4.99 package, which is kind of the equivalent. I think I got 7 or 8 bottles of what we now have as Cell Defender. And I started taking the drops, and within a week, I felt lighter and brighter. And I don't know if you've heard this from other people, but like your mind starts to work better. You're seeing things more clearly, nothing super major, but a little something. And just the knowledge of that it's working, it's doing its job. I think, belief is such a important part of emotional and mental health, and having that knowledge that you can affect change on your physical health. So, so I fell in love with the Cell Defender, fell in love with Rick Deitch and Neil Roth, and I followed them from the first company to the second company, and was right there and signed up on that first day when we started our own company with Avini Health, because everybody needs this. Every single one of us needs this, from the children to the elderly and everyone in between. We are being poisoned, like Chip says, we are being poisoned in mass. It's a real thing. And the idea that we have, this beautiful biochemist, who wants to help people by helping them and not hurting them. And we get to be a part of that and share what he's come up with and all the other Avini Plus products, it's just, I'm just so grateful to be here. I feel like throughout my story, everything that's happened in my life has brought me to this place right now. And it's with Avini Health, being a brand new company with proven products that have been around for decades. I mean, the sky's the limit. And this is where we get to do what only, we know what we can do, right? This is where we get to have that platform. This is where we get to have that community. And anyway, I just, if you get me started talking, I just feel a lot of love, a lot of community, a lot of learning, and we get to share. My body's a tingle right now just because I think it's important that we are connecting in this way, and I think that it is important that we get on these calls and we connect on these Zooms and we learn from each other, because it's in listening to the testimonials, it's in listening to other people's stories where we get to take that in and then share that with others. So
I want to just interject something here. As you said, it all started way back when, but as everything started to align, the chiropractor, the yoga studio, all the things that I think everyone on this call probably could start, looking at themselves and saying, wow, that kind of happened to me, the way things line up, that we're here together. It's no accident or no mistake that the people on this call tonight are here to hear your story and share, an amazing journey that you've had. How old are your children now?
So I have 2 adult children. My son is 27 going on 28. He's going for his PhD here at the University of Denver. And then my daughter just graduated from Northeastern University in Boston. She studied environmental science, and lo and behold, she works with water, and they both end up in environmental science in one way or another. So it's so interesting as well, because, as you mentioned, I got my degree in psychology. My son went to Stanford and he majored in physics and chemistry, right? So he's got a super brain, even when he was little, he'd ask me math questions and I'd be busy doing something else. And I just couldn't answer him. I can't do math in my head, and he said, Mom, your brain's not very big. So he's a lot of fun. And when I went to go visit him at Stanford, he pulled me aside. He's like, Mom, don't mention that you're a psychology major. And I'm like, why? What's the problem? He educated me on, he's like, physics is first, and then chemistry, and then biology, and then, psychology's over here. So anyway, he's a treat. But those are my 2 adult children. And then we're raising our 11-year-old daughter, homeschooling her, and also in Girl Scouts, and she does dance. So 3, but we have the 1 right now. So yeah.
Well, it's amazing. And, I'm sure your children, as they were growing, were watching Mom, our kids watch us, right? Watch what we do, and we drip on them and we educate them through through what we do. And it's really, really, you got to be proud of your adult children. Now your 11-year-old, when you and I spoke the other day, I was excited to hear that. I was a brownie, but I only made it to a brownie one day. And they took me on a trip and they left me behind in a thunderstorm. I got left behind. So I didn't make it far beyond being a brownie. It was a traumatizing experience, but I used it for goodness in my future. But to hear that you're involved with that and your kids, so you're a homeschooler, and I'm sure you're sharing this with many of those families, yes?
Right. Yes. And, and I really feel like that's so important. And I think even when my older children were in the junior high school, I mean, we got to reach the kids.
Amen.
We need to educate the kids who are dealing with, again, what are you putting in your body? What are you putting on your body? Right. I mean, even my nephew, it's like, I want to be a huge proponent for fragrance. Guess what fragrance is? It's chemicals. And if you're using fragrance in your laundry soap and your your clothes smell so good. Well, you're inhaling chemicals all day long and it's coming in on your skin. And I just think it's, you know, the other thing is we can't battle ram people, right? All we can do is drip on them a little bit, give a little bit of education. You know, when I started with the health in network marketing back in 2006, I was bossy. You know, I was calling up my friends and saying, you got to take this, you got to have this, you know, you got to sign up, you know, we're going to do this business. Well, I learned that doesn't really work well. People don't like to be bossed around and told what to do. And I don't do that anymore. And even then, you know, even now, a lot of times I'll hold back because what I've learned is it really is all about the relationship. And I have to show people how that I do care, you know, and that I have an offering and they get to choose whether they want to accept the offering or not. Right. So, yeah. So again, it's that personal development. It's that growth, right? We learn certain things from our parents, from our family dynamics, how we speak to each other. And then we get to relearn some of that stuff because some of that doesn't work, you know. I was an expert person at sarcasm when I was a teenager. And, you know, sarcasm is not the way to go, you know, and I've drifted a little bit of that on my daughter and it shows, but I've pulled back from that because I do want to be honest and clear. I want to be sincere with people, you know, and I don't want to poke, you know, poke at people. I want to be open and loving and sharing the good things. So
Which you are, and it resonates from you. You know, my first conversation with you on the telephone, I didn't get a chance to meet you at the summit, but I've listened to your calls, and you know, again, we're grateful that you're here to share your walk, your story. You know, you were open to learn, and here you are. Still, now you're teaching. You know, other homeschoolers and other moms, and you know, we talked about the burden on babies. What's your thought about that? Can you give a little insight to that? Because I know same thing. All of us know a new mom. Could you just share a little bit about that, your experience with those new moms?
yeah, well, actually, you know, I'm niching down, right? Because when I say babies, I'm thinking whether your baby's a baby or 35, right?
Right. They're
You
always your
know,
baby.
because the fact is that we're all polluted. And, you know, what comes up for me, what has come up for me in the last 3 years is when I hear about, you know, a new mom, you know, a pregnant mom. And I like to share with them that, you know, hey, let's get your body into a better shape before, right? If you can. So, you know, it's a journey on talking to people, of course. And I felt this way when I came into the health and wellness industry. It's like everybody needs to hear this, everybody needs to know. But yeah, I figure like where I am in my life right now, you know, with the homeschooling, with the families, that's where I want to focus my efforts on those children and educating the families. So yeah.
Thank you for that. Chip, do you want to jump in and share anything with us tonight?
Sure, lots of stuff, of course. That, you know, I was listening to her tell her story, and you know, she sort of got started out um, I guess you would say a lot of great posture in the medical family. But just a minute ago, she said something that finally sort of summarized everything that she kept noticing along the way, and that was that she said it just came up in my mind. And as she was going along, I thought, well, she's pointing out at this point. Well, I noticed that I was in a medical family, but it didn't seem to have the medical answers or the health answers. It came up in her mind. And then, you know, various times. And then she was in the neighborhood. And think about this: the chiropractor and the yoga studio that opened, each of those people opened a business. They were in an environment that allowed them economically to open a business. But in a way, both of those are businesses where you give yourself a job. You essentially open a business that gives you a job and a place to go to work. You know, you can point to that place and say, that's my chiropractic office. You can point to the studio and say, that's my yoga studio. And as I was listening, I thought, okay, it's an environment where you need and you can create a business. And she said, I was looking for a network marketing business. Well, why would she be looking for a network marketing business? You know, number one, if she was going to point to anything, it would be her home
Smart.
and her life. But ultimately, if Pricilla Pasimio started to tell you about, try to point to her business now, she'd need a map. It isn't a building. And soon it will be the globe that she'll need to show where she works. And that's really, I just kept noticing the things, as she said, this question came up in my mind. This question came up in my mind. The solution came up in my mind. And then she finally up and said it just right at the end, when she was talking about the homeschool families, that it came up in my mind, they're in trouble and they need her help, and they need to know what she knows. And I think one of the things I always really admire and encourage is to respect the things that come up in your mind, and look where it has sent her. And I also was thinking as she was speaking, if you're the 11-year-old that's being homeschooled by Pricilla right now, think how the flavor of that is affected by, the lifetime of experiences. Also had to get me a little bit. I mean, if you kind of look at the structure of her life, there was a lot of good fortune in there. But when she was taking care of somebody that was so ill, and their mind was slipping away and their memory was slipping away, and that'll give you humility. And then when your spouse ups and unhooks, that, because you can feel. I was trying to think when Ed asked me earlier in the day, we were on a three-way, and he said, well, tell me something about Pricilla. I said, well, you're going to find out tonight. But you can feel the seriousness of the moments in her life when she's speaking, right? You can feel, I mean, you think about a lot of things have gone right, but she's a very serious person who has loaded a lot on her own shoulders, and come here to help us, and we appreciate her.
Thank you, Chip.
We sure do. We sure do appreciate this and you being with us tonight. I know we have another guest on the call tonight. This is kind of spur of the moment, but I wanted Hannah to jump in for a minute. Hannah, do you mind sharing your testimonial in a couple of minutes, please, with our guest?
I'm so pleased that I can piggyback off of Pricilla, because we've been on this journey together in a way since 2013, when I joined a company, and then I went into the cellular health coaching during COVID. It kept me very busy. It kept me alive. And I was one that always believed in, I wanted to heal at the cellular level with natural products. I didn't want to put medicine in. My dad died of Lou Gehrig's, my mother Parkinson's related. My oldest brother died of angiospondylosis, where his body calcified on him. And my wonderful husband that I met when I was 50 went into 4 comas and we got married in 2006, and he died in 2011 after 4 comas. So I learned, I knew I was destined to do something. I don't have children, and I've been on this journey, and I've been on the Avini journey through life. And I've been on the Hannah Stringer journey of life after a 25-year career, and realizing that I'm 20 years since that career. But this winter, on February 21st, I started on the toxic obesity. So I upped everything with the zeolite and the fiber and the mushrooms and the new trim science. And I got a shooting pain up my right side, out my arm, 10+ pain. And all of a sudden I was beginning to be labored breathing, and I'm just 5 minutes from the hospital. So I hopped in my car, 2:34 in the morning, and I drove to the ER. They got me in there, CAT scan. You're very lucky you're alive. You have pulmonary embolisms. If you had not gotten here when you did, you would have died. They immediately put me on heparin. At 11 a.m., they got me into what I call I keep calling it a hotel room, the hospital room. I put myself under the covers while they were giving me the heparin and just watched the videos and the pictures of my life on my phone. And the next morning they came in and they said, let's take a walk around the hallway. Took a walk around the hallway, did it 2 times, and they said, we're sending you home on Eliquis.
Mm.
And 18 days later, I had permission to fly out to Las Vegas. Now, we don't cure our products, the zeolite and the everything does not cure. But what I truly believe was that my body, and I was vaccination free, but I truly believe that my body, my veins were so clear that God, universe, spirit just said, we're going to take care of this situation now. We're going to get it out, these things out wherever they've been, and you're going to go on with your life. And I've always wanted to ask Chip, I went to the pulmonary specialist, vascular specialist in August, and they said, we don't know why this happened. You're one of the 45% that it does happen. But because of but my belief is because of the products that I'm on, they saved my life. And it spurred me on now. I've had to, my parents would have been dead by now. That they didn't make it much more than this age. But I have a purpose and a passion with True Health and with my spiritual growth to go out and to share Avini with my sphere of influence, which is international, it's global, and it's right here in my backyard. So that's my story.
Thank you, Hannah. Appreciate you jumping in and that she didn't know I was going to ask her until just a few minutes ago. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure it's longer story, but you did a beautiful job of condensing it. But in a nutshell, really a blessing that you're here with us tonight. Dave and Pat are with us also. Dave and Pat, you want to unmute a moment?
There we go.
So Chip told me that you guys had a special visit this week. Would you mind sharing the visit that you had firsthand with Avini?
The visit was to Boca Raton, to our new facility for Avini, and we were greeted by the 3 top dogs of the company. So it made us feel very, very special. And of course, we were thrilled to be able to be with all 3 of them. And it was so nice to see wives were there also helping out. And we got to meet everybody in all the different departments. And there's a room for everything there. It's huge. We have room to grow. So get out there and tell everybody there's lots of room for growth. And the machines are unbelievable. But knowing what we know, we need them. And they were able to produce more than what they were able to produce before. So it was really a thrill to see all these different things on the go and the different people that operated them. And each one of those people are so unique and so important, because without any one of them, the whole show doesn't go on. So it's really great, including ourselves, everybody here. We're all a team, we're all working together, and we all have a big goal in mind. And I think we'll achieve it. If you think you'll achieve it, the likelihood of it being achieved is much greater than if we don't think we'll achieve it. So enjoy your journey and get to see this facility if you can, because I know that you'll enjoy it also. I wanted to tell you too that, with my bad cells in my leg, I still have some problems, but they're just little things compared to the bigger one. And
We even had Rick feeling her leg.
so anyway, it was fun. It made it fun. He told me what to do and what the problem was. And so I've got some more things today that to make me even better. So we're all getting better. one day at a time. So keep getting better, everybody, because there's
Thank you,
Anyway.
Pat. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Dave, you as well, that you got an opportunity to go down and meet Neil Roth, Doug Dickey, and Rick Deitch at the new Boca Center down there. So it's exciting that the company is growing. Chip, do you want to share anything? Because we're going to be closing shortly, and I know you always do such a beautiful job of recapping.
Well,
And-
actually, I kind of do, and you know, I had looked forward and really enjoyed knowing more about Pricilla tonight, and that's neat. But I need to focus on Hannah for a second, because Hannah said something on Tuesday during the question and answer after Dave Johnson's call, and I thought in my mind I'm supposed to ask her to take my call next Wednesday with me, and this is why. Hannah, you still there? You didn't faint or anything, did you? This is what Hannah said. She listened to Dave and she said, I love what you just said. I'm going to go back through my notes and I'm going to prepare myself to present like that. And I had just had the same thought in my mind. As a matter of fact, I did do that on Wednesday. I went back through what Tuesday said, what Dave Johnson said on Tuesday, on Wednesday. And then today, Pricilla used that as a springboard to come to today's call, and it's still working. And I'm wondering what Hannah heard, because I felt inspired. I kid you not, this is the truth. When she said that, I was thinking the exact same thing. She said that to Dave. And I said, I got to hear what it is that Hannah is going to highlight from that Tuesday presentation by Dave. And so, Hannah, would you accept being my co-presenter on this coming Wednesday? Would you mind doing exactly what you said you were going to do?
I will accept that. I'm going to be in Philadelphia and I will make the time to be available at 11 a.m.
Cool. Well, we'll have a lot of fun. And
I will have my beautiful voice.
yeah, whatever it is that came in, you know, that caught your attention, because you came out of that, you know, inspired. And I know different ones of us hear different things. I mean, he was just laying out all of his favorites of a lifetime on that call. It's no wonder, but I'll be fascinated to hear what you choose to highlight from that call in your voice. And so I look forward to doing that. Maybe on that morning, call me about 5 minutes before, or I'll call you. And that we'll
Okay.
do that. That's all we need, and we'll be fine.
Great.
All right.
Oh,
So
cool.
Chip, I want to jump in with this. Chip, last week when we worked through on the call last week, we talked about practicing repetition. Remember that? Learning is forging new synaptic connections, right? And we talked about rewriting our biological programming. And this is what we said last week. If you've done it once, it must mean that you can do it again. You will neurochemically condition your body and mind to work as one. If you can repeat any experience over and over again. And what you just said is that's what's happening from that Tuesday call, isn't it? Because I listened to you on Wednesday, but wasn't on Tuesday. And then I heard what you said about what Dave said. And now here's what Hannah. So we will all be
And then
on
Priscilla
Wednesday.
Priscilla too. And then here's Hannah with her tonight. And it was like, I didn't quite, you know, I felt prompted to do it on Tuesday. And apparently, you know, it's like right back in my face today, there's Hannah. And apparently this is supposed to happen. So, oh my goodness. I always think about Kyle when we're together on this call, and I picked up something for Kyle. Can I share that real quick?
Absolutely.
Okay. I don't know if you guys know this about Kyle, or maybe I'll ask him if he'll tell about Kyle. Kyle, why in the world would I have something like this? Can you read what I've got in front of me here and who that is? Okay, can you read it, Carol?
It says, wait a minute, I'm seeing only part of it.
Oh,
I can read it. Always be yourself unless you can be
Be
Batman.
Batman.
Kyle, would you explain why in the world would I hold that up and then ask for you to say something?
Kyle,
I think he's with us. I think I
He's
saw him
with us.
earlier.
Yeah, I saw him. Kyle, are you there?
Well, if he doesn't join us, this is going to be suspicion to hold. Oh, there he is.
There he is. Oh.
Unmute.
You're muted.
Kyle, can you unmute?
Sorry,
There-
guys.
There you go.
Super
There
under
he
the
is.
weather. I'm just,
Got it.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
He's
I
sick.
hear it, everything. I'm like out of it.
Got it.
it's okay.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm like, super sick and I didn't want to miss those. So I'm listening. But
Okay.
yeah, you're right. Batman. Unless you can beat Batman.
Be yourself.
So this is why I'll just reveal a little bit of it. I don't know if you guys knew this, but Neil and I used to listen to Kyle speak every morning. He did every call every morning, and Neil and I were always there to listen. And one of the things he revealed about himself when he was first starting, and I bring this up, for Hannah and for Pricilla that's overcome and brought herself forward as a presenter, and for Carol and Christine and everybody who's brought themselves forward as a presenter. The trick that Kyle Helm used in his mind was, and you hear him talk about his story, but he doesn't usually tell this part of it. And maybe I could encourage him to add this to his story because it really resonated with me. He said, I was so afraid to get on the phone. And then he said, I just decided to take on the alter ego of Batman. So whenever the phone rings or I pick up the phone, and this was his deal, always be yourself unless you can be Batman. So for some reason, he just took on the confidence and the posture of Batman when he was representing his opportunity. And that just resonated with me in a big way. That's why I picked up that sign. And before that one, I don't know if you can see this one up here, but that hangs up right above where I work. And it is essentially, it's Kyle Helm doing the Batman thing. I listened to that and I thought, we take on this superhero thing. Why? Because of what we know. If you listen to Pricilla, what has empowered her along the way? It was that thing that kept coming up in her mind, that there must be a better way to do this. There must be a healthier way to do this. There must be a better way to work than to have a place to go for 50 hours a week. Did you hear her say that? And now, she's deep into the sapphire ranks here at Avini. So that you can look it up on the comp plan. That creates some nice income. And there's a little bit. The very last column in the comp plan is leadership bonus, right? That triggers when you become sapphire, and it's 7% of the people you sponsor and 5% of the people they sponsor. What a wonderful addition to the comp plan when you hit that point, so that you can be a stay-at-home mom. And I'm so sorry I caught my buddy Kyle under the weather. We got to take better care of him, so I'm sure he's got every advantage in the book.
Yeah.
So, but I just wanted those two things. Hannah, we're set up. Kyle, we got to prop you up for a little bit, but thank you for being with us, buddy. I mean, he's assembled this group here. It has to make him feel better to see. Day you're not feeling good, guess what? Carol and Christine still leading the group. They got Pricilla here. His thing is still working. And thank you guys for being here to join us tonight.
Amen. Yeah. Thank you, Chip. Priscilla, can you come back to a moment? And we're going to let you close. Just any parting words, because I want to applaud each and every person for being here again tonight. But Priscilla, you were a special guest tonight. So what would you like to leave us with?
Sure. Well, again, I just want to thank you for the opportunity. It's really kind of neat to sit down and think about, what is my bio? What's my story? And that's what we're here to do, right? We're each here to share our story. We're here for a reason. Thank you, Chip, for acknowledging the things that come into my mind. That's another cute thing that my super smart son used to say when he was little, and we would say, Maxwell, why did you do that? And he said, my mind told me to. And I just thought that was the great, right? I mean, that's why we have a mind, so that we, anyway, it's just wonderful to be here. And I just encourage everyone, it's scary to step up. It's makes me nervous to reach out, but guess what? You do it a little bit, right? A little bit each day. And the people that you reach out to really do want to hear from you. They really are open to what we have to share. So we just have to learn to have those conversations with each other, with new people, and we're gonna grow this, and we're gonna save the world one person at a time. So I just want to thank you again for having me. This has been a pleasure and a privilege, and I look forward to the next time we get together.
Thank you, Priscilla. You're a wonderful guest, and I want to applaud all of you again for being here. And what I wrote in my little closing note is, where you place your thought is where you place your energy. So all comes together. Everyone have a wonderful holiday. Oh, wait, we have a whole nother week. We'll be here next
One more
week.
week.
Yeah. So we will. And yeah, we're not going to skip a week. We're going to be here the 21st, and we're going to be here the 28th. So please bring your friends, your guests, your team, come and join us. We have it's growing. Eddie Kowalski. Eddie is my personal friend who shared this with me. And Eddie, I see you. Eddie told me this week that we need to hit, what number are we hitting? 30 on this, right? We're at 26 one
Yeah.
week. So and I want to just leave one thing. Last week I asked you to think about what Avini Vibes means to you. So that's the topic for next week. Next week we're going to do kind of an open forum. So like Priscilla said, I asked her to write down her bio. I'm going to ask you to write down what Avini Vibes means to you, and we're going to go around and share that. Okay, so that's your homework for tonight. All right, Chip, thank you. We'll see you next week too. Yes, send our love to Marcy. God bless each and every one of you.
Thank you, Chip.
Have a wonderful
Thank you,
night.
Night, everyone.
Priscilla.
Thanks,
Yeah,
everyone,
you're
for
awesome,
being here.
Priscilla and Hannah. Thank you,
Yeah.
everybody.
Thank you,
Thanks for
honey.
hosting
you.
this, girl.
Thank you all.
Bye,
All right.
everyone.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
Care.
Be real.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you all.